What is up, people? Welcome back to another legendary video. Today, we've got Kayli. She's joining us for a kind of client case study interview, even though she actually was never a one-on-one client. She simply did everything she knew just from the kind of public, or not public, but private school community for only $39 a month. She lost over 50 pounds in 4 months, which is insane. She transformed everything regarding her health from the inside out. As a byproduct, that manifested in the exact way she looks. At the same time, if you don't know me, I transformed from this to this in literally 2 years. I've helped thousands of other people do the exact same thing, fixing your looks by rewiring your health. It is not any more difficult than that. Stop falling for lies and scams and start addressing the real root causes. But I'll stop waffling. Welcome, Kayli, and thank you for joining. And I'll let you kind of introduce yourself if you have anything else to say.
Thank you, Oscar.
Take care.
Well, my name's Kayli Ray. I'm 20 years old, and I've been doing this for almost 4.5 months.
Amazing, amazing. And yeah, I mean, nothing crazy. I'm just going to ask Kayli some questions. Hopefully you guys will get some gold dust along the way of exactly what she did, and also helping prove the fact that, obviously health is universal, and therefore obviously, health maxing, looks maxing, whatever you want to call it, the methods don't just apply to men, which I think is a really important thing for most people to understand. Actually, it's probably a good starting point. How, when you first started, because actually when you started, there weren't that many people, women particularly, in the community.
Yeah.
So what were your kind of thoughts around that when you first began kind of trying some of the stuff out?
I thought it was fine. I feel like even being like 1 out of 10 girls, or how many girls that were in the community at first, I feel like a lot of the men helped in there too. I feel like it wasn't lonely.
Mm,
So I feel like everyone's there.
yeah.
There's never a time where no one won't help you. And I feel like even when I couldn't get an answer from you sometimes, I'd get someone else to answer, and it always felt homey. So
Yeah, that's cute. Okay, that's quite nice. Yeah, it is like a proper community. A lot of people don't realize that. The worst amongst you lot will think it's like a kind of course or something like that. The whole base of what it's set up as is a community of like-minded people, and obviously, technically, I'm the one who runs it or owns it. But at the same time, I think even Kaylee can attest to this. Most of the people in the community, like a lot of them know just as much as me. They've been in the program for a very long period of time. These people are kind of experts on all of this stuff, and there's so many kind of, they're not like coaches, but they're just like-minded people that can kind of help you along the way.
yeah.
People that you can speak to, people you can be around, because the biggest thing is, and I'm not sure about in your own life, at least in mine, there aren't that many like-minded people. Like, this is literally kind of like you're a black sheep if you're doing this stuff, even though it should be natural and normal. It's just not that common because everyone's kind of cooked these days. So yeah, the fact that it's a community is a really good thing. It's good for me to hear as well. And speaking of that, what were the first things you kind of did when you joined that you saw the biggest results from? What were the things that you really, if you had three things, what would you kind of pick?
I feel like the three things I would pick is that um, I got the feedback from what I needed to hear. Like when I first started, my face was a little bit more bloated. People helped me with what I needed to do to reduce all that. And then another one is like confidence. Like people in the community and like in general gave me more confidence to realize that I can do something like this, and I can't not like doing it for a couple months and then stopping won't help. So like the
Mm,
confidence of having that, knowing I could still keep doing it and look fine, is amazing. And three, I honestly do think it's like you,
I appreciate
not I think it's like, yeah, I mean, like I feel like if I never found you or saw any of your videos, I don't think I'd be where I am now. So
it. Okay, future Oscar here. By the way, the school community will currently stay on sale for a bit longer, but we are soon going to be increasing the price away and up from $39. We're also going to be limiting the amount of people that can join after we hit 2,000 members, because I try and respond to every single message personally so that you can get access and see transformations just like Kayli did. But after 2,000 people, it just gets a bit difficult. Just woken up, I'm in the sun, literally responding to messages right now. I'd love to see you inside and wishing you nothing but the best. Stop being absolutely cooked and enjoy the video. Kayli is a legend. I appreciate that. And yeah, I think what you said is important. Obviously, for someone on the outside, looking in, and what you were saying to me at the very start is, I mean, if you really think about it, losing 50 pounds in 4 months without kind of starving yourself, even disregarding, sorry, the facial changes, the debloating, the bone development, the muscle atrophy and hypertrophy, the restructuring of your breathing, anything kind of like that. If you look at it purely from the way that most people think, in terms of it's just purely calories, it's just purely, macronutrients, it's just kind of do this, go to the gym, do this. The fact that you lost weight while, like eating steak and eggs every day, not starving yourself from saturated fat, and not even trying to like starve or hyper obsess regarding like the actual number, it is
Yeah.
insane, in the first place. And that only comes, when you really can actually have the belief, if you're around people that are telling you that you can't do this, or this isn't going to work, it really does kind of limit you. So what you said about confidence is, yeah, that's a really important thing. And I think that actually leads to an interesting point, actually, as my mind's kind of going all over the place. You said at the start that you were kind of struggling to lose the weight initially. What do you think the
Mhm.
kind of change was, if you really had to pinpoint it?
Like the main issue
Yeah,
for it, I think the main issue in the beginning was cutting out the processed foods and changing a diet that I felt like wasn't gonna work.
yeah,
Um, that was for sure one of my biggest struggles. I think when I first started, I would still eat that healthy food and then go and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go have McDonald's while I'm at it too and see what happens, you know?
yeah.
And it didn't change in the first 2 weeks that I wanted to see progress in.
Mm,
And then once I quit everything and fully went on it, I saw way more change dramatically.
yeah.
So,
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I completely agree with you. The 80-20 rule is complete. A lot of people still fall for that. I should probably blur that out. But people like don't realize that you can't just start the diet and then cheat at this point. You kind of have to go all in. It may seem unfair to a lot of people, and a lot of like celebrities, etc., will lie and say that you don't need to do that. You don't need to kind of focus on it. But the whole point of an actual proper diet, it's basically not even a diet. It's just kind of the way that we were intended to eat. It should
the
be
lifestyle.
sustainable. Yeah, exactly. It's a lifestyle. Um, it should be sustainable. You shouldn't not want to, like, you shouldn't restrict sugar. You should have natural sugar. You shouldn't restrict this. You should have fat. You should just have a balanced diet, eat what you crave, and as a byproduct, you look healthy, and health is look. So yeah, I think that's a good point as well. And another good question actually that I have is particularly regarding some of the nature of the community, right? Which is when you join, maybe at least back when you joined, especially before I've kind of revamped
Mhm.
it recently, it was kind of a lot of information being thrown at you.
Mhm.
How did you kind of navigate that to start? How did you like not get overwhelmed, kind of thing?
I mean, I feel like it's not overwhelming because when you're reading information that's given to you and it's different when you look at it on the internet, it's like, okay, wow, I'm looking at something that can change me than seeing it on that Google and it being like, well, if you do this and that, it's not actually gonna help.
Yeah,
So it wasn't that much overwhelming to me. It was more like, okay, wow, this can really
cool.
help in
Yeah,
doing this and that. So
yeah, that's interesting. And I think regarding also obviously the nature of the community is, you get a lot of accountability, you get a lot of information. There's like a load of weird techniques, a load of random things kind of thrown at you. And I know what you were saying at the start is, at least half of it you can't you can't even remember, like half of the actual names of stuff. You just kind of do it. But if you
yeah.
had to pick, kind of two or three things that you did that you found very useful, or a couple things that you found powerful that not many people would think works, or people that don't realize work. What would you kind of pick?
I think a lot of people think thumb pulling doesn't work, and I also uh, think that people don't think zygo pulling and pushing works. I think it
Yep.
helped a lot. I saw more changes to my face and helped feel like I wasn't so bloated with it as well,
Yep.
and zygo taping. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I sound like a promo there, but no, I agree with you. And if you actually look at your face, it's very clear to see. Obviously these things aren't going to cause crazy, mechanical changes within a couple of weeks, but at the same time,
yeah,
it's just a matter of millimeters. Like if you really look at the difference between your cheekbones or the difference between your buccinator muscles, etc., a matter of millimeters changes the entire way that your face is perceived. Like the only difference between me now and me 2 years ago is a matter of millimeters in my palate, etc. And those margins really make all of the difference. So a lot of people don't realize that literally the whole base of a healthy face, and not to get too passionate about this, is literally just upward pressure on your palate. Like that's what causes facial development. So you have your genetics, right? And obviously you have an upper and lower bound based off of your actual genetics, but people are
yeah,
only operating at 40% of their genetic potential. So they don't even realize what they can look like, what they can feel like. And as a byproduct, it's just nature, it's almost human nature to believe that everything doesn't work, that everything's a scam, particularly when you see a weird term like thumb pulling. Obviously, particularly when I started, like if I call it, just like upward pressure on your palate, then obviously it can't go viral, and like these terms, and obviously, I didn't create that term, but like same thing with like zygo pulling, etc. Unless you phrase it as something, then no one even will ever see it or hear of it because it's not
yeah,
packaged as a method, So obviously people get scared off by a weird kind of name like that, but the actual mechanism is the exact same thing that's rooted in tongue posture, So you can
yeah,
firstly you can think that like tongue posture doesn't work, which maybe some melons do, in which case you should probably just click off the video. But if you believe that your tongue posture works, which is like cited in various scientific studies, I'm going to get the editor to be, he'll probably be annoyed, but put some studies there. And then secondly, as a byproduct, as an extension of that, you therefore have to believe that thumb pulling works, which is just, specified pressure on your palate, provides 24 times the amount of force. You can also leverage a chin tuck and actually help develop your posture, your neck muscles, etc. And therefore, obviously, it's going to work and make your face more attractive, particularly if you do it properly and know exactly how to leverage all three kind of spots. Leverage tension on your sutures with zygo pulling, release the tension on other facial muscles to allow you to breathe, chew, and swallow better, which will then sustain everything. So obviously, it's this whole big web, but yeah, I think it's cool that you said that, to be honest, because a lot of people won't believe it.
I mean, I agree, like, with what you were saying. A lot of people think that these things won't work. For years, I had like a super round face, and I was like, okay, it's not gonna change. I'm gonna have this round face forever. And I mean, I think even s- seeing results in a month and seeing that I wasn't gonna have this round face forever and like more of a structure really made me happy. And I feel like a lot of people see like comment and be like, well, my face is not gonna change. It's just weight loss. It's way more than that. So
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely true, and I think obviously, it's easy to think that was all just weight loss. Even though you can clearly see, if you really look at the before and after of your face, it's not just slimming. And again, editor, please put a photo here. I'll pay you extra. But just like if you actually look at the difference between your cheekbone, you can clearly see that it's not just kind of going in. Like your cheekbone literally goes out further. So
yeah,
it's impossible to claim that just weight loss. Obviously that was a key factor, obviously that makes you way healthier, etc. But it's easy for people to kind of deny the truth in order to make themselves feel better and not actually
yeah,
do anything.
I agree.
Yeah. And one other thing I would say and like to talk about is regarding the way that you felt about yourself, your overall energy, yeah, why don't you talk about that that kind of aspect?
What do you mean? Say that one more
Oh,
time.
sorry, like your overall energy, the way you felt every single day, even though you were maybe losing quite a lot of weight, people would think that you need to restrict a lot of food, and therefore you feel more tired, you feel
Yeah.
shitty, you don't have any energy. How did you feel throughout the couple of months? How do you feel now compared to how you felt before?
I think, like, before starting, I had no energy, and then slowly getting into it every day, getting actually 8 hours or 9 hours of sleep, I have more energy every day. My mind's more clear. I'm not as depressed as I used to. I used to sit there and literally probably rot in bed all day, maybe sleep 12 to 13 hours a day. And yeah, it was really bad. But I really do think like everything helped. My energy's off. It's like 10 out of 10. My mental health is a 10 out of 10. I feel clear. See the world differently. I see myself differently. So I think it's a big change and it's nice.
That's great to hear. That's, I
Yeah.
mean, that's the most important thing anyway. Everyone hyper obsesses about the actual, look stuff, but it's a body, mind, and then soul. If you can have your body dialed, but if you don't have your mind, your kind of mindset, your actual mental health nailed, which obviously I believe comes as a byproduct of being healthy in the first place. But if you don't feel good, then there's no point in actually looking good. And that's the big problem
Yeah.
with a lot of people. You'll see, which is another good talking point actually, which is like a lot of women get Botox, fillers. Like it's almost really normalized these days to get kind of some kind of plastic surgery in order to enhance your appearance rather than actually just taking action and helping yourself. What are your thoughts on, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I personally don't think Botox is necessary. My mom does it, and my mom's a beautiful woman, and I think she would look so much better without it. But I just don't like it. I don't think it's necessary when you know you can change yourself naturally. I used to think, oh, I need lip filler. Oh, I may need chin filler to get rid of my double chins.
Mm,
And I'm so glad I never did it because here I am now. I don't sit there and look at my double chins because I don't have any really anymore. Well, I
yeah,
don't have any.
yeah, you don't
And
exactly.
um and I'm just more happier with my self appearance. I love my lips, I love my face, so I feel like once women start this or want to start it, they'll realize that Botox and lip filler and all that stuff is not necessary.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean that's huge. And if you really even want to look at it just purely from, an economical price perspective, people are spending thousands of dollars on, rhinoplasty, a load of other weird names ending in nasty, like like
Yeah.
like nasty, or filler, Botox, all of this stuff. When you literally, again, this sounds like a shameless plug, but the community is $39 a month, and you rewire literally everything exceptionally easily. Um, but linking further into that, one thing I would say about Botox, etc., is it's so toxic. Like it's literally pure poison. I mean, half of filler even is sourced from a particular kind of poison that can be used to kill people. So
Yeah.
you're injecting that into your skin, you're injecting that into your body's largest organ, and obviously no shame or guilt to anyone that has done it, or that's not what we're trying to do. But if you really weigh it all out, um, it's really important to kind of do things naturally anyway, because as a byproduct, you're just hurting your overall health, which in the long term basically creates this cycle of people becoming dependent on Botox. I think the statistic is actually kind of insane. I believe I'm not waffling. I might be, but it was like 86% of women like literally get another kind of plastic surgery, like another, like more shots of Botox, another set of filler, another this, another that, because the entire nature of consumerism and that entire industry, which is directly interlinked with the pharmaceutical industry, the skincare industry, is all basically created to sell you more and more in order to keep you buying rather than actually help you. And so a lot of people won't actually understand that and the nature of it, but it's very important to kind of raise awareness about it, because honestly, plastic surgery is the biggest joke of all time. The fact that it's normalized these days it's a piss take. So yeah, yeah, definitely good opinion from you there. And
Yeah.
another thing, I should say, is also, along with obviously, overall health, etc., how did you find it in your daily life? What was the kind of difference in the way people maybe treated you, the way you viewed yourself? Obviously, looks aren't everything, but again, they do kind of get your foot in the door, and they do kind of matter in the modern world.
Yeah, I mean, it going through my with my lifestyle and how I was living, it was really easy to adapt and add it to my life. I mean, it doesn't take long to cook something that's healthy for you.
Yeah.
Meal prepping, putting things in, even if it's making it that night, putting it in a glass container and taking it to work, it all works out. There's no excuses. Also, what was the second question that you
No, you're
asked?
good. What was the difference in the way people in your life treated you?
I did get treated very differently. I got called stupid for doing this diet and doing all these things and having friends that were like, "Okay, well, I really want to go out. We should go eat. You should cheat." And I'm like, "I can't. I really can't. I know myself better than that. I look good. I feel good. I don't want to ruin that." A
Mm,
simple, one simple bite of rice or beans or anything, I feel like will really make me feel bad, and I don't want that. And I just feel like, not to say I was ugly before, but I do get way more attention. I get a lot of women and men that ask me questions and tell me I'm more prettier, which I love, but it's also not full on egoing myself, but
yeah.
it's nice.
Yeah, no, I mean that's again, that's the right. No, there's no right or wrong, but I think that's a healthy opinion to have. People, there's so many extremes, and that's the nature of social media, and that's the nature of YouTube. So a lot of other people will be watching these guys or girls promoting these methods or ways of life, which are either too extreme, not sustainable, and not balanced, or they're either rooted in some kind of egoistic, narcissistic pursuit, which, as a
Yeah.
byproduct, basically degrades them down to, like literally an object, rather than realizing that the positive side of looks maxing, again, which is a kind of cringy term, is completely rooted in rewiring your health, and as a byproduct, allowing yourself to feel better, think clearly, be more productive, become the best version of yourself. And as a, you know, I always say this, I'm starting to realize I say byproduct a lot, but, nail other aspects of your life,
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really good. But yeah, at the same time, obviously looks do matter, and you can't sugarcoat it. So yeah, agreed.
Yes.
And also, I think an interesting thing, just for people to actually understand some of the specifics regarding what you do. Obviously, we won't give everything away, because that's not what we're doing here. But what do you eat on a rough day to day? What's your kind of daily routine like these days?
Um, I've really stuck on the ground beef and eggs. I don't know why. I feel like I'm eating rice and beef but it's still really good. I can eat it every day, any day. I sometimes I'll add avocado, or sometimes I'll eat steak with eggs.
Yep.
So that's really what I do eat on a daily basis. I'll add fruit into there sometimes, kiwis, oranges. I try not to eat as much, but I do eat them. Uh, what else? I drink a lot of water too. That's the main thing I do. I feel like a lot of people are like, "Well, why would you sit there and eat that every day?" You kind of get adapted to it, and
Yep.
it's like what your body craves. Like my body craves eggs in the morning, ground beef for lunch, and then steak for dinner, and it's like perfect because it's just it never changes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you know, again, one key note there is, you don't eat starchy carbs, which I think a lot of people, a lot of people try the whole food approach, kind of go with that. Maybe they'll eat sweet potatoes, rice, etc.,
Yeah.
beans, vegetables, etc. Um, how did you, was it hard to kind of cut out the starchy carbs? Was it hard to kind of switch those out with fruit, etc.?
Um, it was. At first it was really hard. I was like, well, dang, can't make fries, can't have this and that. But I think once again, once you adapt to it, it gets easier throughout the time. I think the one thing that was super hard for me was I had really bad sweet tooth,
Mm,
and knowing I can't go and eat these sweet things was hard, so I would eat fruit constantly.
yep,
When I first started, which once again, I think if you do have a sweet tooth, fruit is nice for like a little sweet treat when you do want something, and
yep,
I think that's helped me. I don't really crave anything. I think 3 weeks in, I was like, okay, I don't crave all these things that I've been craving.
yep.
So,
Good, good. Well, yeah, I completely agree with you on that, and it's mostly just about what, if you try the diet or a diet, and obviously there's a bit more nuance to it, which people would see, if they join the community. But if you did it for multiple weeks, if you genuinely committed to something for 4, 6, 8 weeks, and then talk to your body about what you crave and what you want, then it's a completely different story. You have to make decisions from a position of power rather than compromise. And a lot of people watching this, I feel, would probably be like, okay, that's pushing the limit. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to stick to my ways. I'm not actually going to commit to this. I'm going to, start like this and then progress. But in reality, one of the biggest regrets I have, and I'm not sure if you feel the same, out of I don't have that many regrets, but I really wish like when I was 16, when I was younger, I had just thrown myself in the deep end way quicker, like actually started everything as soon as possible rather than needing this sense of progression
yeah,
in order to adapt more and more. If someone genuinely just did everything for 8 weeks, they would transform completely in the exact same way that you did in 4 months. So
yeah.
I think that's really important too.
And when I get DMs, when I got posted with that video, a lot of people did ask me, "Oh, what facial stuff did you do? What did you do?" And
Mm,
I try to like throw out there first. I was like, "Here, I'll give you what I do for my diet, and then come back to me in 4 weeks, and I'll help you with what I do with my face because the diet starting off is more like is really
absolutely.
important."
Yep.
So, because a lot of people just want to jump in and do all these facial things, but not start the diet, and I
Yep.
would just it's not fully the diet, but it is the first start of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It literally all goes hand in hand. You cannot do the diet without the facial stuff. You shouldn't do, you know, I don't know, you shouldn't just exercise and eat like shit. You shouldn't do the face techniques and the habits without, your diet, so it has to be hand in hand. It has to be a lifestyle, like you said earlier, not just a kind of, test or like 75 hard challenge. It's just something that you
Yeah.
commit to, a way of living, something that you integrate, something that you don't hyper obsess over, something that's sustainable, something that's easy, something where you have support, in a like-minded community, and then it becomes very, very easy. And not I'm not saying, obviously I do take people to work with one on one, but the fact that you did all of this from literally just the community in such a short period of time, it's almost just a testament to how much information there actually is and how much people can do if they really just lock in.
Yeah, and I agree, and I feel like, you're very smart, and I feel like you know what you're doing and know what you're saying, and I really do hate when people think that you just read a script. Like, the people need to know that you are actually genuinely a smart person, knowing what you are saying is true, and everything you do is based off what you know and your knowledge, so I feel like people should try and do this more because and join the community because you really do know a lot, and I don't think people realize that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, I get making me blush. I think that's pretty. Yeah, no, it means a lot, and I think it's the main purpose. Obviously, I want people to join the community. Obviously, I want, you know, I don't know, whatever. But at the same time, none of this means anything unless people are actually being helped. People are actually improving themselves. That's the sole mission. That's the sole goal. And so, yeah, I appreciate that a lot. And final thing on my end, yeah, I mean, okay, what are you doing these days? Obviously, you've seen a pretty drastic transformation. So, what's your plan moving forward? A lot of people would say maybe once you see the results, you'd then go back to the way, like go back to the way you were living beforehand, because you've done
Yeah.
it, it's done. So what's your kind of plan for the future? What's your mindset regarding the modern day?
Well, I feel like I'm just gonna keep doing this. I don't think I ever want to change the ways. And as much as it sucks walking outside to a grocery store and seeing how a lot of people don't change and are still eating all these processed foods makes me
Yeah.
feel just a little bit more better knowing that I can sit there and be healthier and do better things. But yeah, I feel like even from a year from now or 2 or 3, I'm still going to continue this and still stay healthy, still do what you're giving out because I mean, once again, it really does work and it helps and yeah.
That's great to hear. No, I think that's really interesting, because obviously for me, it's easier for me to do everything because it's my job kind of thing, and I'm,
Yeah,
I'm trying to get I'm trying to help people, and therefore I feel like a melon if I'm not doing what I say. So it's easy from that perspective. Maybe it's becoming the same for you, to be honest, because there are definitely women these days who actually look up to you. A lot of people watching this who will be inspired. Um,
yeah,
but for even just the average Joe or Jane, they that mindset is really important. Sustainability, it's just a testament to it's not my method or anything. I'm not claiming anything like that. It's just nature. It's just health, and it's just pushing people back to the way they were meant to live. Even the facial techniques themselves are just recorrective habits. If you look at something like zygotape, for example, the entire structure of the way it works is it allows you to breathe, chew, and swallow the way that you were always intended to. If you had done that perfectly from birth, you wouldn't engage the buccinator muscle, you wouldn't engage this muscle in your chin, you wouldn't breathe through your mouth, you would breathe through your nose, you would have proper posture, and you would do everything in the correct manner. So all of that's doing is pushing you back in the right direction. Same thing with thumb pulling. If you had perfect habits from birth, you would have been a
yeah,
certain person. Um, and so if you can, imagine there's a line like this: perfect diet, perfect environment, perfect habits. You become this person. The modern day basically means that everyone goes flat lines like this: terrible lifestyle, processed foods, terrible habits, blue light, depressed, sad, ugly. If you need these recorrective techniques, you need this kind of like intense mode for a couple of months to get pushed back on track. But once you're in that stage, it becomes very easy because your chewing, swallowing, breathing, posture, your myofunctional habits become better. Everything becomes sustainable. Your cravings balance out, and you become the best version of yourself. So yeah, I'll stop waffling on, but I think, I mean, yeah, on my terms, you passed the test quite well. I think you did everything pretty perfectly. You really nailed it, and I think it's so impressive. And yeah, on
Thank
my
you.
end as well, I want to say, yeah, I'm super impressed. I think everyone else is, and I think,
Yes.
yeah, you're genuinely inspiring.
Thank you. I try my best. I really do.
Of course. Okay. Well, I'll stop it there.
Thanks.
Again, if anyone wants to reach out to me or even Kaylee, you can, maybe, okay, I won't speak for her. Maybe she'll make her own community or something. Uh, but she can, you can join the community. You can message me. That's one of the perks. You get full one-on-one access with me along with all of the guides, etc. Obviously, these days, warning, I probably will take about 16 to 24 hours to respond. I'm back on it these days, but you have full one-on-one access with me. You can speak with me directly. You can message Kaylee. You can message anyone else in the community if you need any help. You also get the Q&A calls and stuff. But if you do want more, if you do want access to everything, and you do really want to take action and ascend, you can join the community. Thank you very much, Kaylee, for your time. And yeah, I think that's it.